Welcome on into our pregame interview. Todd Fernandez, head coach Brandon Smith, South Warren Spartans.
Yep.
Coach, appreciate you allowing me to stop by and allowing you to take time out of your busy morning for me to be here.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, not a problem, Coach. Let's first talk about, before we get into the matchups and everything about that, let's talk about the season overall. I mean, obviously it's first year in 6A, a lot of big implications, and you said yourself on media day saying, it's the best football, but man, I don't think a lot of people expected the Spartans to be, 13-0 on the season and then going in the state championship game undefeated. So, as a coach making that transition from 5A to 6A, how proud are you of your guys, for just being able to handle this transition so smoothly?
Yeah, I think it's a credit to the seniors. They believed in the plan that we set forth, and the action plan to achieve a goal, and they followed it. And they've when you've got a senior class that's they're a little bit smaller. They always had a bigger class in front of them with big personalities, and so you've got these guys that have kind of always been pushed off to the side, and so they're very hungry for success, and so they have bought into anything that we have sold in terms of how to accomplish what they want to accomplish. And I think that their eagerness to do that and to have success and then pass that on to the underclassmen that we need to be successful has really kind of made this team what it is.
Yeah, and looking at some of the games that you guys scheduled some pretty tough games. I mean, I'd say one of the couple big wins for you guys you've had is were against Manual and Pulaski County, who's also representing 5A in the state championship game on Saturday. And so, how would you assess, how you'll be able to come up with a really good schedule for this team to put them to where they are now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the schedule has been building over years, and it's no different. I mean, you got to play good teams. If the best teams you're playing are in the playoffs, then you're probably not going to have a lot of success in the postseason. So, we've done that, and there's a lot of travel, and some of that has to do with it's really hard to schedule in this area. We have to travel pretty far. I think we've had 4 games maybe this year that were 2+ hours. So, that's not ideal, but you're getting experience. You're getting experience of what we're going to do Saturday, which is go 2 hours on the road and play a really good team. So, I mean, that's where we want to be at the end of the season. So that's what you got to practice for.
Hey, Coach Brandon Smith of the South Warren Spartans here with us. Coach, let's talk about the game last week. You guys took on a really good Ryle team. Very competitive first half, I would say. But then in the second half, you guys were able to, just make key adjustments and were able to hold a pretty good Ryle offense that did not have their best player, to only 7 points in the second half. How proud are you, of the guys, for just hanging in there, even though that Ryle gave y'all a really good challenge?
Yeah, Ryle was really talented. They played in the state championship game last year, and really almost all those kids played in that game. This was kind of their group, their senior group, and it was obvious. They're very senior heavy. A lot of those guys were really good players. They were huge, big team. So I mean, the challenge was expected. It's the semifinals of 6A, and I don't think our guys were caught off guard by that. But to your point, they battled, and I think we were a little nervous the first half, and kind of did some things to self-harm, our offense and defense. And then the second half, we made it simple and, just kind of do what we do, and took a lot of the thinking out of it, and I thought we executed nicely the second half.
Yeah, speaking of execution, I mean, Caden York had himself a day. And it shouldn't be a surprise to you, as a coach. He's got over 1,000 yards on the season. He's got over 20 touchdowns. But in that game, he had over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's just like any time that his number needed to be called, he was there. And this Ryle game was no different.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the O-line and the tight ends were just, getting a big push up front, giving those holes, and they kept giving it to us. really pretty much the whole game. And so we just kept taking it, and he did an outstanding job, of making people miss and, turning 6 and 7 yard gains into 15, 20 yard gains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's no doubt been one of the more consistent players for you guys on the team. Head coach Brandon Smith with us as we now preview the state championship game against a really talented Trinity team that is back-to-back state champions, looking to go for a three-peat. Zane Johnson, one of the best quarterbacks in the state. He's got over 50 touchdowns on the year, and they have a really talented receiving corps and a good running back as well. So it looks like on paper, that you guys are completely even in terms of talent. But looking at the film early for you, how would you assess Trinity in the way that they play football?
Yeah, I mean, we've, we kind of talked about our schedule and whatnot, and we're scheduling really on the state level, and, they kind of schedule on a regional level. And I think that's the caliber team we're playing is a top regional team, in this part of the country. And I mean, honestly, that's what you got to beat. That's the top. That's what we talked at the beginning. That's the top. That's the best of the best. That's what we want to play against. If you're a competitor, is find out if you're the best, and that's really what this game is. It's not just 6A. It's to find out if you're the best in the state. And so, to your point, what you're saying, I mean, they're uber talented. They've got ability everywhere at every position. They're not really lacking or suffering anywhere. The quarterback is a special player. He's the real deal. But he's got really nice pieces to give the ball to, and that makes quarterbacks. You got to have somebody to give the ball to, and he's smart enough to get the ball to him. And so I think that makes their offense go. Defensively, the D-line is where it starts. The D-line are all, it's a college D-line. They're all Division I players. And they play like it, and then they've got really nice guys on the back end to clean everything up for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the things that, especially on the defensive side, that's going to be important for this is that Trinity just does such a good job of beating teams over the top. And in their matchup last week against St. X, they did a lot of it. So as a coach, how important is it for the secondary, to be prepared, for those wide receivers?
Yeah, I mean they love to take deep shots, and they're good at it. And the completion percentage when they do it is pretty remarkable. So they're very successful of it, and really, I mean, that's the speed of the receivers. That's actually the quarterback and the protection of the O-line all make that happen. But they live off of explosives offensively. I mean, that's their thing. That's what most offenses do. The successful ones is they're good at the explosive plays, and they're no exception to that.
Mm-hmm. And last question for head coach Brandon Smith: what's going to be your keys to victory if you guys want to capture the state title in those first year in 6A and finish it out strong?
Well, I think, like you alluded to, we have to get stops. Try to limit the explosives of their offense, and then get points when we get opportunities. And then, I mean, in these big games, it's always the same. Special teams has a lot to do with it, and turnovers has a lot to do with it. Usually, those are the deciding factors in big games.
As head coach Brandon Smith, head coach of the South Warren Spartans football team, as the Spartans compete against Trinity to capture a 6A state title, and that's going to be the goal for this one. Coach, thank you so much for coming to stop in.
Appreciate it.
Always, man. Let's take ourselves a quick break, and when we come back, we'll do our Keo Company keys to the game and talk more about the matchup between Trinity and South Warren on the Sporting Times Broadcast Network.